All right, so does everybody have those files we had last week, the working ones? Ben's got it, I think, is that the hard drive? Oh, that's yours. Somewhere there's a hard drive around here that's got them. Who needs them? Oh, okay, got it. Okay, well, while those things are getting passed around, I'm going to sort of start from scratch. Sorry, I am behind on grading in this class right now because I couldn't get online yesterday. Little got hacked. Well, they got the service denial. Same thing happened to them that happened to everybody yesterday. Did you guys have trouble doing anything online yesterday? Yeah, there was a huge service denial attack yesterday worldwide. It was actually all over the United States and parts of Europe and everywhere else. But yeah, Moodle was shut down, Spotify was shut down, Amazon was shut down, Twitter was shut down. Yeah, it was serious. So anyway, so I couldn't get in and do anything. So at any rate, just so you guys know, I'm usually better about that and I try to stay ahead of it. So that being said, we are just going to move on. If you could start up Capture One for me. Again, we're working, there's two versions on these computers. There's 8.3 point something and 9 because of the system software that you're on. You're actually on system 1011. So 8 is more stable than 9 in that environment. So go ahead and start up 8 for me, if you will. Make sure that that's the one that's going.
I'm having a hard time hearing you over the loud AC.
Yeah, whatever that is. It's going to be probably easier than for here. Let's try this. Is that any better? All right. So with 8 up, it doesn't matter if you have any files in there yet or not. That part doesn't matter. We're going to start from scratch again. We're going to build a custom workspace. But you should know enough about how to do this now that we can just actually just do this, and I don't have to explain a whole lot about how that goes. So to start with, I want everybody to start on the same page. If you come up to the window menu down to Workspace and come over to Default Workspace, we'll sort of start the way Capture One looks when you first start it. So we are going to modify a couple of things here right off the bat. The first thing I'm going to do is up to the View menu and down and put the browser on the right-hand side. That puts these guys over here on the side. I'm also going to click on the little eyeball that's over here. Now, this is personal preference. You can do whatever you want to over here. Most people are going to want to work, though, either with this first view that's a bunch of icons that'll really give you a context sheet on the right-hand side, or the one that I actually prefer to use is this single one. It's a single strip, and it actually allows these thumbnails to be large. And so you'll see if you click and you drag in between the browser part and your main viewer right here, you can actually get your thumbnails to be pretty good size. That doesn't happen in the context sheet view. Instead, you get double rows here. So that's really a personal preference thing. But that's just, if you want your screen to look like mine, that's how I would actually do it. Then we're going to change a couple of things here. Library, we're actually going to keep where it is. Camera, we're going to keep where it is. However, we are going to get rid of color right now. The setup that we're doing right now would be more for shooting than it would be for actually doing editing. So to get rid of these things, if you have a double button mouse, you would right-click this, but because most Macintoshes, the stuff that you guys are on, you don't have that double button mouse, you use the Control key instead. If you hold down the Control key and click, you'll get a drop-down menu where you can either add tools. Now, these are tools, which are the things inside of tabs, or you can actually add and remove the tabs themselves. So in our case, we are going to actually remove one of the tool tabs. We're keeping library, we're keeping capture, we're getting rid of color. And it's going to ask you if you want to remove that, and you'll say, yes, you do. Now, by the very same token, you can click on that very same space. Again, hold down the Control key, and you could add the tool tab right back. It's this guy right down here. The one we just got rid of was color. But at any rate, So that guy's gone. The next one over, we're going to actually click. This is actually the lens tool. Again, we are going to remove this tool tab. What you see in the lens tool is where, again, has more to do with editing your film than it does with capturing your film. Any of these removing chromatic aberrations and changing distortions and all this, this is pretty much equal to the same. You find this very same thing in ACR, Camera Raw. Again, it's a development thing of raw files. It doesn't have any impact on the actual capturing itself. So we are going to remove that guy as well. So that would actually be called the lens tab. And we're going to remove that. The next one over is cropping. And I think we are going to remove this guy as well. Most of what you have here in crop, you can actually come up with in this tool tab right here, this guy right here. So again, holding down the control key down to remove tool tab, and we are going to remove composition. The next one over is focus, and the navigator, we can actually leave this guy in. This would be called details. And you'll see that the order that you've actually got going on right here is the order that we're actually doing across here. So the only thing that we've actually got left. Okay, so we're gonna, we'll leave details. We're gonna get rid of local adjustments. Again, that would be something that you would do later. The next one over is styles. We are gonna get rid of that guy as well. It would be called adjustments. And then we're going to leave processing, and we're going to leave batch. Oh, and this is metadata, and we can get rid of metadata as well.
Should we be working in a specific session right now?
It doesn't matter what you have open. Your workspace, that part won't matter. Okay, so let me look at my notes really quick. So I wanted the library. Capture, exposure, detail, output. Okay, we need to bring composition back into this. Not entirely certain why, but that's what my notes say. So at any rate, to bring composition back in, we're going to do the Add Tool tab and come back down to composition. It'll pop in like this. You cannot drag it here without a key modifier. The key modifier is the Command key. So if you click on the Command key, you can move it in, and we'll put it in right before we get to processing. So this is basically what I'd like your screen to look like. However, if we had a lot of screen real estate, I don't on my computer, but you guys actually do. I want to show you another trick that a whole lot of digital techs are actually doing now, just so they actually have more real estate to work with. And it's this. If you grab your screen and sort of pull it off to the side like this, you'll see you can actually grab, if you click on the library tab, and this is true of any of the tabs, if you actually click on the name that says library up at the top, and again, what we're doing is we're clicking on this area that's right, it's the area that you would use to actually move it up and down. You'll see that you can actually bring the entire thing off of your screen. You can bring it off of this window where all this capturing stuff is happening. You can then resize it and then click on the camera. And this is how, again, if you have enough screen real estate, you should still be able to see the entire view window, and you should also be able to see your thumbnails on the right-hand side. So that is the way most of the digital techs that I work with actually have their things set up, because it allows them to actually see everything that they want to in their camera window, and at the same time, they can navigate through all of their system folders and capture folders and all of that kind of stuff. Now, in my case, I don't have that screen real estate, so I am going to then put this back together where it was. Filters, I didn't take out. That is actually still in the library tab or the capture tab. So I'm going to collapse filters. I'm going to come back over to the library tab itself and drag it back on top of my library tab, and you can see that you get this like little orange glow up at the top. That tells me that it actually is going to load it into that tab. And then if I want to change the order, again, if I want filter to be underneath library, you click library and you drag it up on top of filters, and then you can open it up and you should be back and good to go. If, unfortunately, there's a behavior now that happens in all windows in the Macintosh world. It used to be if you were to click on the green tab right here that you would actually, it would make it as large of a screen as it could actually, as you could get. That still happens, but unfortunately it makes it so large that you don't see these, the stoplight guys anymore. They actually go up underneath this menu so you can't get at them. To avoid that, or to get your screen as big as you can get it without losing these guys, simply bring your cursor up into the top part of the window and double click on that really fast, and it will maximize your screen real estate but still leave you the stoplight guys. So once you've gone through all of this, come up to the window menu and come down to workspace and do save workspace, and go ahead and name your workspace, and it's whatever you guys want to call it. So I typically call it with my last name. I would say or my first name, something about capture shooting, because this is primarily the setup that you would use to actually do capture, tethered capture. So we are going to make a new session today. We're actually going to make a couple of them in 2 different ways. So last week we went through, and what we did last week, I'll show you really quick on my screen. The way we set things up last week, we had this one file that was called 20161015_NEI_fashion. So it was supposed to be the setup for a Neiman Marcus photo shoot, fashion shooting. This was the parent folder that we actually created to begin with. And then inside that parent folder, we had, we set up a per shot basis like this. It was a shot 1, a shot 2, a shot 3. That's how we sort of started things out. And inside each one of those folders, you actually had a capture folder, an output folder, a selects folder, a trash folder. I should mention, oh, and you also had this file. This file right here is the preference file for the entire session. If you wanted to copy this entire session with everything set up, with your ratings, your everything set up, whatever, you would simply copy this entire parent folder. That would be if I was just going to give somebody a single shot. If I wanted somebody to have the entire shooting, I would copy the parent folder and give them the whole thing. If you end up orphaning these files, these capture files right here, actually I don't have any in there. It's only got, I only have one in this first one right here. If these files somehow get orphaned and this is the only thing that you've got, you actually then would simply, and if you needed to use them, and to get them into Capture One, you would simply build a new session. So I'm going to show you exactly what that means. So let's say, for instance, well, do you guys, you're not going to still have those files, are you? Okay, I'm just going to show you on my screen really quick. You're not going to be able to do this, but you'll get the idea. You'll understand what's going on. I'm going to drag this capture folder simply out. And let's do this. I'm not going to drag it out. I'm going to just copy this guy to my desktop. So sometimes you'll get files delivered like this, and all they are, the only thing that you've got going on in here is the captures. That's all you've got. You don't have any of the capture structure. You don't have any of that. You don't have any of those things going on here. If this happens to you and you need to rebuild your session, this is how you do it. I'm going to simply click on one of these guys to copy the name. And then I'm going to go back into Capture One. I'm going to create a new session. So again, up either to New and New Session, or click on this flyout menu, New Session. I'm going to name it what I just had. Again, I'm getting rid of the frame number only. I am going to put this on my desktop. I told you guys never to do that, but that's where this capture folder is. And all I'm trying to do is rebuild this thing. So on my desktop folder, I'm going to go ahead and say choose. And I'm going to say OK to that. It'll build that new session. And if you then go out to your desktop, I'm going to do a second window. On my desktop is the session that I just made right. Where the hell is the session I just made? If you're looking for where your session is, you can see that. So this actually is in my session, but it's under a 100428. You can also click on your capture folder, hold down the control key again, and say, where is this in the Finder? If you click on show it to me in the Finder, it will actually find it for you. So this is where it is. This is the capture folder. You can see that it is empty. Then you would take the files that had gotten orphaned. So these are the files that have gotten orphaned. These are the ones right here. You would select all of them and simply drag them into this capture folder. And when you do that, back in Capture One, you'll actually see that they all show up here. So that's how you would actually rebuild a session. Does that make sense? If you need to change the name of a session, this is the only way you can do it. Now, we can rename files. That's not a problem. We can rename folders inside of sessions. That's also not a problem. But renaming the session itself is a huge problem. So for instance, you cannot go out into the Finder and find this file right here. This is the session file right here. This thing that we're calling the session preference file right here. This guy right here, you cannot rename this guy. If the name is incorrect, you need to simply build a new session with the correct name and then drag all of your captures from the one that was misnamed into the one that is correctly named. Does that make sense? And then if you need to rename the files themselves, you do that inside of Photoshop. I mean, inside of Camera Raw. We'll look at that a little bit later, how to actually do that. So at any rate, that's one way of actually setting it up. The problem that I have with setting up a situation like this is every single shot has got its own session. It's got its own session preference. It's got its own capture folder, its own outputs folder, its own selects folder, its own trash folder. It's got all of that, and that's sort of redundant as you're going through the day. Because in a typical day, when I shoot, it's all for the same project. So in my case, there's actually a better way of doing this, the kind of work that we're actually talking about doing. And I want to show that to you guys right now. And you're going to create this one with me. Real quick, while we're actually out there and looking at it, just so that you know, when you throw a file away in Photoshop, so for instance, I'm going to grab this file right here, and I'm going to actually throw it away. You just hit the delete key to throw it away. However, it is not in the system trash. Throwing stuff away in Capture One is a two-process step. You will see that inside my trash folder here is this file. This file is actually still here. It's not been thrown away. If I were to give then this session to somebody and I included the trash folder, the files that I had put in the trash folder, including this one, would actually be given to them as well. And all they would have to do to get them back is simply click on them and drag them back onto the capture folder. So it's just something to be aware of, that when you throw stuff away in C1 Pro, you're not actually throwing it away in the sense that you're putting it in the system trash, this guy right here. You're not. If you want to do that, what you have to do is, again, up in the captures folder, we throw this guy away by hitting the delete key. You would have to go to the trash folder, select it again, and hit the delete key again. There is a shortcut that will allow you to actually throw stuff away in one single step. I do not recommend using this because the problem is you might actually mistakenly throw something away, and you're eliminating this safety. But at any rate, if you look up at the file menu, you can see right down here where it says delete permanently. You either pick this or actually use this keyboard shortcut. If you use that, then it bypasses the trash altogether and throws it away in the system trash. Okay. So with that being said, we are going to start off and we're going to do something completely new for today, and we will bring files in for today. So I need everybody to create a new session for me. So we're going to simply come up and hit new session. We're going to work for the very same client that we did before. No, we'll work for a different client. So for today's one, we're going to do 01610. Is today the 22nd? Okay. 22 underscore. Let's do it for Bonton. So I'm going to do BON underscore, and then it's also fashion, FASHION. And again, where to put this? You do not want to put this on the desktop. If you are in a single user environment, you probably would put it in your pictures folder. If you're in a multi-user environment, meaning that you've created more than one user for a computer, you would actually put it on your shared partition. This shared partition will not exist unless there's more than one login user possibility. But the advantage of putting it here in shared is that this is a space in Photoshop that everyone who has access to this computer has access to this space. There are no permission issues on this space. If you use the pictures folder and somebody logs in on a network and navigates to your pictures folder, they will not be able to open it up. They won't be able to get at it. They won't be able to see anything that's on it, whereas on shared, they actually will be. But since you guys cannot or don't have a shared one, whatever, I'm going to put mine in pictures folder along with you so that we're on the same page, and go ahead and say OK to that. And then we're going to go ahead and create that. And it should look like this. So again, we've talked about this last time. I just want to reiterate and make sure everybody understands what's going on here. The capture folder that you've got right here is indeed the capture folder that is in this session. However, this can be changed. So if we go to actually look at this, so I need you guys to find this with me. If you click on the drop-down menu for system folder at the very bottom of this, you need to go then to the user. Now the very bottom, whatever the little house is, what is your all's name on these computers? Studio. All right, so click on Studio to get that drop-down, and then come down to your picture folder. And inside that picture folder, you should see the one that we just created today for today. It's this one right here. And if you click on that drop-down menu, you will see down here, you should have your capture, output, selects, and trash folder, and you will see these little icons that are right next to it. These little icons are indications of where, if we do a capture right now, it will go into this folder. However, you can designate a different folder to be your capture folder, which is what we're going to talk about in just a second. These aliases up at the top, these guys right here, point to whatever has been designated as your capture folder. Now, currently, right now, it is the capture folder inside this session. However, we're going to change that. Let me make sure I'm not getting too far ahead of myself, guys. Yeah. Okay. So what we're going to do, there is a misleading thing. I'm going to skip over session albums for the time being right now, and we're going to actually look at this thing called session favorites. If there's one takeaway that you need to take away from today, it's this: that session favorites was misnamed. Session favorites should actually be called session subfolders. This is the system that virtually everybody I know works with. They use these. This is actually how they work. And this is what happens. This is how these things actually work. If you come down to your sessions favorite and you click on this plus sign, you can actually, what will end up happening is that you'll see it's going to come to your pictures folder right now. You need to find that session folder that we just created, the 20161022 Bantan. You then also need to navigate to the capture folder. And inside this capture folder, we are going to add a new subfolder. Again, Capture One calls it favorites. Everybody else in the world calls these subfolders. And that's what it's going to be. And we're going to click on the add button. And we didn't get a name that we can actually name that guy.
Wait, what do you mean?
Did you click new folder on it?
Yeah, I had to click new folder on it. So sorry about that. So if you did what I just did, we can get rid of this by simply clicking on the minus button, and it gets rid of that favorite. We're going to click on the add button again. The reason this is happening to me is because I don't ever do it this way. I'm showing you two different ways of doing this. So this is the slower version of it. So again, navigate to that folder, navigate to the capture folder. And once we get here, you need to click on new folder. And a new folder is going to come up. And what happens in most cases, and this is the reason people use these double folders like this, in most cases, the session actually names, it'll be the date, the photographer, the client, all that kind of stuff. It has that name. But then, for instance, in my case, as a fashion shooter, I'm going to shoot 15 different outfits in the day. They don't want my name. They don't want this date and name and that kind of stuff on that. What they usually want is an SKU number. So an SKU number is an identifying number for a pair of shoes or a scarf or a blouse or whatever. It's the tag number that they actually use to track the merchandise. Does that make sense? Does everybody know what an SKU number? Anybody not know what one is? So we're simply going to put in, we're going to make up SKU numbers. So I'm going to type in SKU and then give it a 4-digit number, and it doesn't matter what it is. I'll do 5678 and say create. And you will then go ahead and hit add then. And what you'll see is here you've got this SKU number under session favorites with a little heart next to it. And if you scroll down to that capture folder now and you click on it to open it up, you'll see that that SKU number is sitting right there. That's one way of doing it. The faster way of doing it, and the way most other people do it, is like this. They will go out to the Finder and they will actually find that folder. Now, you don't even have to go out to the Finder. Do me this. We'll go there instead a different way. Again, if you can find this capture folder right here that's inside under the system folders, under this navigation pane, if you hold down the control key and click on that caption folder, you can actually say, show me that folder in the Finder. And it will take you right there. So now we're actually inside this thing, and you can see where that SKU folder is that we just created. So this is what most people do, is they create all of their folders out here because it's much easier to do it. It's much faster than it is going through all of those steps of clicking add session, clicking navigating to this folder, clicking on new folder, naming it, clicking on add. It's just more cumbersome. So instead, we're going to add 2 more SKU folders out here. So in order to do that, if you hold down out here in the caption folder, if you hold down the shift key and the command key and hit N, you will get a blank new folder and you can name it. And I'm going to name an SKU, and this time we'll do 789 0. And then simply hit the return key, click down in this capture space again. If you keep this guy active and you create another SKU number, it's actually going to be out here. It'll be inside this SKU folder. So click back into the capture folder to make that active. And again, shift command N, and we'll put in SKU 1, 2, 3, 4. And you'll see that it keeps them alphabetical, and that's all we need to do right now. However, we actually need to add these to make these session favorites. So if you get rid of your other windows in the Finder so that you only have that one window, and you can actually see your version of Capture One underneath, you can actually simply scroll so that you can see this session favorites right here. You can simply click on the 2 that are not on there already. So 7890 is not on there. To do a discontinuous selection in the Finder, you use the command key. That'll allow you to select things without and eliminate something in the middle. If you continue to hold down the command key and click again, you can unclick stuff. At any rate, you take these 2 that we don't have and you simply drag them over to session favorites. When you get on top of this, you'll see that it looks like it'll show you the 2 folders that it's adding. It'll actually give you a little 2, and now when you let go, these are also session favorites and possibilities right now. Does this make sense? Finally, to actually have this thing work, what you want to do is, so it comes time now to shoot 1, 2, 3, 4, that pair of shoes or that pair of gloves or whatever it is. If you hold down the control key and you click on this favorite, the SKU 1, 2, 3, you can set this as the capture folder. And you will see now you get this little capture icon that's sitting right next to this. And now when I start to shoot, it will actually go into this folder. Is this making sense? And you can see it right here. The capture folder that we've got right here no longer has the little camera next to it. It's this SKU 1, 2, 3, 4 has got the little camera next to it. So that is what we're going to shoot into. So we go ahead and shoot 30 pictures, and the shooting is done. And now it comes time to actually shoot SKU 5, 6, 7, 8. You hover over 5, 6, 7, 8. You hold down the control key, and you set that as your capture folder. And now again, if you look down here in your capture session, you will see. So what's happening now is that I'm using subfolders. Is this not making sense to anybody? Shoot.
It just popped up. Would you like to remember previous capture as?
There's no real reason to do that. What John said, there's a dialogue that comes up, and it may have come up on yours as well, that's asking if you want to keep the old capture folder as a favorite. There's no real reason to do that. Because if you go back now and you look at our filter structure, so again, our file structure, to get out there really quick, simply hold the control key, click on the capture folder and say, show it to me in the Finder. What you're seeing is happening is this. Now, these are going to be my capture folders right here. If you had the capture folder as a favorite and you picked it, then you would actually start to fill up files in here in addition to having these folders, which would defeat the purpose. Make sense? Are there questions about this? Because guys, this is how everybody works. And if you don't get this system, you're going to be in trouble. So I need everybody to go ahead and connect their camera to Capture One so that we can see that this indeed does really work this way. Oh, thanks. Hey, Chelsea, can you stop?
time just to like pop out for a minute?
Sure. So is everybody kind of hooked up? All right, no, I'll wait. It's all right. Yeah. There should be section one there, the USB. It's probably saved with that. No, this is USB. And this is the firewire connection. This is the USB connection.
I was like so about it. I also bought the dress at Macy's.
Say, remind me later, thanks, it doesn't matter. What do you think?
Yeah, I know. It's a gorgeous dress. I was in love with
All right, are we good? Are we good? Okay. I'm just pointing. It doesn't. I don't care what you take a picture of. It doesn't matter. I want to show you a couple of things, other things about SKUs right now, though. I want you to come up to. I mean, about favorites. I want you to come up and pick your actually select the. Here, let me do it with you really quick. Here, 1 second. Okay, so I want you to come and pick the one that was SKU, the 7890. Go ahead and select this one. And then you can hit the minus again to make it, and you're saying, okay, that's no longer a favorite. It still is sitting down here, though. It's just not listed as a favorite. You can see it right here. This is another way that you can actually add folders that are, once you're in Capture One, to make them favorites. So again, you would simply hover over the SKU 7890, hold down the Control key, and say Add to Favorites. And you're actually good to go. Then again, they sit up here as your subfolders. So in our case right now, we have got, I'm going to capture to this SKU 1234. So to do that, again, you click on that to make it active, hold down the Control key, and you say Set as Capture Folder. And now if you go ahead and fire off a couple of frames, click on your camera tab to make sure that you are connected. Oh. Here, I'm going to trade you one back there.
That's
you though, which is weird.
Well, it was.
Yeah, I know, right?
One day.
Just like an education. And then I think it's that. That's where it was. That's where it currently is right now.
So, like, if you wanted, well, if you wanted to go back, you click it and
You can go, you can.
Yeah. I have a but yeah, like, when I'm shooting yesterday, always, I'll do this every time I do it, and I'll like accidentally click it too soon, because I'm. I'm so excited about it. Maybe she's a good dude. I mean, not in my sleep one day. I'm sick. All that, but shooting wise, it was great.
Another cool place.
This is the place where you can keep going.
Swallows.
Trade out right now. We can troubleshoot this, but maybe that's something we'll do during the break.
Abandoned silos. There are abandoned silos and warehouses and stuff. Like some part of it's just crazy.
All right, so again now, if you, once you make an exposure or two, if you go back into the library, again, you can go to your storage part right here. This is what we're capturing to right here, is this SKU1234. Again, if you hover over that, hold down the control key, click on this and say, show me that guy in the Finder. It will take it to you and you will actually see. In my case, I did 2 images. I shot 2 of them and they're sitting right here. Now, they're misnamed and that kind of stuff, but that's because we haven't gotten to naming or capturing right now. However, now, if you come back and let's say 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or let's go 7, 8, 9, 0. Again, if you hold down the control key and you designate that, and typically people would do it up here in their sessions folder, in their system session favorites, click on 7, 8, 9, 0, hold down the control key, click on that, and say set this as my capture folder. It will. And again, this is the thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about. These aliases that are right underneath right here, this is no longer the capture folder that we think of. This capture folder right here is no longer this capture folder right here. It's actually this one that we have designated as the capture folder. Does that make sense? It's just confusing, I think. I think these are misplaced right here. Because this gives you the illusion that, okay, so this is the session that we just made. And of course, this is the capture folder inside of it, the selects folder, the output folder, and the trash. However, all of these can be changed. The designation for all of these are what we say they should be, not those particular folders. Does that make sense? Okay. So at any rate, again, if you clicked on this guy and you said, okay, show me this capture folder in the Finder, you'll see that it goes to the SKU version of subfolder that we've actually named to be the capture folder. So now when I actually make an exposure, yeah, I know, right? So now when I make that exposure, and again, I can go to the library and say, show me this version, show me this folder in the Finder. So it's this guy right here. Show it to me in the Finder. You go there and you can see that that file is right there in the Finder. So does that make sense what's going on here? And it's the way people can go back and forth. But now what's happening is I've got one single session right here that contains my entire shooting for the day or for 2 days or for the week. It all depends on how they want to, whoever the clients are that they want to structure this part out. Most people will do this every single day. They'll do a parent session for the day. And then inside that day, they will have subfolders that contain everything they shoot through the day. Make sense? Yes.
Now, can you take an image or 2 images from 2 different subfolders and do a side-by-side view of them in Capture One?
You can. So it sort of takes us to our next place where we'll actually go back into the library up the top. Before we do that, we need to put some images in a folder. So if you look at your SKU 123, do me a favor. I'm just going to select both of the images in there. To select both of the images, one of them is active. Simply hold down the Shift key and select the other one. Hit the delete key. It will get rid of the primary one. Hit delete again. It'll get rid of the second one. We don't have any folders in here right now. Now we need to put some files in there. So I'm going to go back out to the file. I'm going to do it well, let's do it from the inside. Let's do it from the inside. Because you can do this in the library as we navigate. So also in your picture folder, you should have the files that we had from last week. So if you click on that in it was the 20161015_NEI_fashion. Oh, you guys maybe don't have that. Oh, okay, never mind. So instead, you need to find it on your hard drive. So I will do my sort of version of my hard drive. So where you need to navigate to your hard drive, whatever it is out here, you need to find that C1 Pro working files that I actually passed around. Let me find my version of it right here. Yeah, and in the working files, the one that I'm going after is that 20110616_CAR_. I think that's no, that's not the one I'm looking for. Oh, let's look under the Pervert color card one. In that capture folder. Yeah, those are the ones that I'm actually looking for. Do you guys find that? Anybody not find this one? So here you can actually then, again, we've just navigated to this folder. However, this capture folder right now is the one that is in the session that we just made. It's this, or it's actually this SKU guy right here. No, I take it back. It's my 789 one right here. So I'm going to change it to this SKU one, 1234 to my capture folder. Again, simply hold down the control key, click on this and say we're going to set that as the capture folder. Now I can drag all of these files onto this capture folder icon up here, and it will put them in this SKU folder. So again, I'm coming over, I'm selecting the very top one, hit Command A to select all of your files, and then simply drag them on top of this capture folder. You'll see that it's going to move 19 of them. When you let go, it's going to say, do you want it? They're going to move to a new location, and you're going to go ahead and say okay to that. And you'll see that that's a little time thing that's actually gone through. Now you don't see any files anymore. And the reason you don't see any files anymore is because it's actually moved them out of that folder we were just looking at. However, if you click on the capture folder, they are all there because, again, this capture folder is now referring to this SKU 1234. If you, again, hold down the control key and click on that and say, show this to me in the Finder, when you go out there, you will see that those files are sitting right here in this SKU guide. Makes sense? So, John, possibly what we were talking about, and maybe hopefully this will answer your question. If you look in, you will actually see that in one of my other folders, I've actually got this 5, 6, 7, 8, and then I've got all these lingerie files and my assistant files in another one. If you want to see everything all together, it's here in Session Albums. This thing that's called All Images. When you click on All Images, hopefully we're going to see at the very bottom, or somewhere in here, we're going to see the other session guide, but I don't see it right now. This happened to me last time. Because I've got in this SKU 5, 6, 7, 8, I've got a picture of the studio. In 1, 2, 3, 4, I've got those guys as well. If I click on All Images, it should actually be showing me everything that is in my subfolders, and it's not. And you cannot build this. So that's going to be, I'm going to just chalk that up as a bug in here. So the answer to your question in that regard is, at least right now, not, but I'll show you ways to get around that. Okay, so in session albums, which is the next place that I want to go and talk about, we talked about how to reset Capture One last week, right? That you've got to quit the program and actually throw away the preference files. Did we go through all of that? Do we need to look at that again? Okay, so, well, here, because this would be one of the cases to do it. Right now, this does not seem to be working for me. I'm having an issue right here. When I click on all images, it should be showing me everything that is in my session favorites, and it's not. So you quit Capture One. Go ahead and do this with me, guys, too. Just go ahead and quit Capture One. Once you quit Capture One, you actually need to navigate to your library. By default, Apple hides that from you. I'm going to come up and actually hide all of my other windows, so I only see the Finder, and I'm going to narrow it down to just one. Actually, to none. If you're in the Finder like this, I just got rid of all my windows. I went up to the Finder and said hide everybody else as well, so everybody else is hidden. I'm just going to hold down Command and hit N. It'll bring up a new window for me. Under my favorites, I've actually got my library. In your all's cases, you probably do not have this library showing, right? To get to the library, you come up to the Go menu. If you click on the Go menu, you will actually see a drop down, but the library is not there either. In order to get the library visible, because Apple hides it deliberately so that you don't fuck your computers up, if you add the Option key to this, you'll see that library appears. When it appears, go ahead and select it. Now that it is selected, and this is just a good trick for you guys for your home machines or for when you're at a studio or whatever, just so that it's easier to get to this guy. If you simply then click on the icon that is in the very top of that window and drag it over to favorites and let go, it will stay there forever. Now, these computers reset, and that's the reason when you guys did this last week, you don't see it again this week. But this will then stay in there under favorites forever until you take it out. And it's just faster and easier way to get to it. But the trick of holding down the Option key and again, going to the Go menu will always work for you to remember it. Once you get into the library, you need to scroll down to Preferences. Not Preference pane, but Preferences. Once you get down to Preferences, you are going to scroll down, and what you're looking for is anything that's got the word Phase One in it. Now, most preferences start with an extension called COM. So that's the case in this as well. So what we're looking for is COM phase. And as you keep scrolling down, eventually we will get there. So in my case, it is, and it's everything that's got phase attached to it. Usually there's 4 or 5 files. If we were still looking, if phase one was still open right now, you would actually see one of these preference files showing up and disappearing and showing up and disappearing. That is the reason you cannot do this. You can't trash the preferences with Capture One actually functioning, actually working. That will not work. So in that case, it's all of these preferences right here. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 preferences. My suggestion to you, now a lot of people would say you should just drag this to the trash and throw it away. Again, we talked about this last week. There's a liability in doing that because right now it's going to reset everything, which means that in theory, I'm gonna have to log on again to start up, to register my copy of Capture One. If you're out in the middle of nowhere and you don't have an internet connection and you don't have your iPhone with you that allows you to do connect and then connect your computer to that, then Capture One will not work for you, which is a problem. So instead, I'm going to come out into the Finder and I'm going to, again, just create a new folder out there. Shift-N to create a new folder. It creates this folder called Untitled, and I'm going to call that Phase Toss. So that if this whole process works for me, then I will throw these guys away. So it's this Phase Toss folder right here. I'm going to drag the preferences out of the preference file into this thing called Phase Toss. And it didn't go in there. So I'm going to undo that, come back and select them all again. and then start up Capture One again. Now when Capture One starts, because I've thrown those things away, it's going to forget everything. It's not going to know any of this. So again, you're going to have to go through all this. I know Capture One. Let's hopefully start working. In theory, if you are registered with online, which is exactly where I'm at, see, it's actually saying to me right now, we want to go out to Capture One to check out stuff here. And I'm not going to upgrade this right now. And again, now to launch the session that we just had going, and this will actually be an interesting thing to see as well. This has actually opened up a catalog for me, a Capture One catalog that is different than a session. This Capture One catalog, we talked about that last week as well, is much more like, it's like Lightroom. It's a single file that holds all of your images in it. There are no, you don't have sessions, there's no breakdown, there's no capture folder, that shit does not exist. That is not what I want, so I'm going to get rid of this. I am not going to back that up. Instead, I'm going to navigate to the folder, to the session that we were just working on. So again, if you go to the Pictures folder, and I'm going to come down to this one for Bantan. If you double-click on the session, this is how you actually launch the session, by double-clicking on this guy right here. So I am going to double-click on that. It's going to open this up. It has reset this part, but what I want you guys to notice is, look at this. All of my SKUs are still here. Again, that preference folder remembers everything that you've done in here. So all of the stuff that you've done in here, it actually remembers. I'm also going to go to my workspace so that my window looks closer to what it looked like. And now when I click on all images, hopefully it's going to show me everything in that SKU in both of them. And there it is. So now when I click on all images here under session albums, it's showing me everything that's in these SKU folders. So if you've got an art director that wants to see the entire day's shooting, you would simply click on this all images. Does that make sense?
So my pictures folder.
Your what isn't?
Pictures folder. I can't find that either. Under library.
Okay, so does everybody have these images up here right now? We good on this? Okay, so we need to talk about session albums. There's two of them that are made for you automatically, but there are two different types of session albums that you can get. So pretty much everybody in this room is familiar with what happens in iTunes, right? If you build a playlist. Is anybody not? So when you do a playlist in iTunes and you actually drag your songs into that playlist or your albums into that playlist, it does not make a copy of those things. What it does instead is it actually makes a reference to those files. Well, the same thing exists here in session albums. So inside of session albums, if you click on this plus and you come down, you have two options that you can make. You can make a regular album, which we'll do. So in this regular album, we're just going to call this thing a normal, or album normal. Or let's do, let's just call it album. And say okay to that. And you'll see that it actually created a thing for you right here called album. It is empty right now. If I come back to my capture folder, you can take an image and just take one of these images and just drag it over to album, the thing that we just made, and let go. And you'll see it doesn't take it outside of your capture folder. It's still sitting in your capture folder. I did frame number 2 if you want to do the same thing that I'm doing. But if you click on this album now, you'll actually see that it's sitting right here. This is not a copy of my raw data. This is simply a reference to the file that's sitting in my capture folder. If you want to take this out, you can actually do the same thing. You can simply move this to the trash or hit delete. You will notice that in your capture folder, it did not, oh, actually it did get rid of that reference. So again, I've actually moved frame number 2 is now in my trash. So to get it back, you can simply click on the trash, grab that frame number 2 and put it back in your capture folder. So what I'm trying to show you is that using using session albums like this, it's strictly drag and drop. That's what's actually going on here. However, there's other things that you can actually do. There's a different kind of folder that exists here. And to use the different kind of folder, we need to actually do some ratings here first. So, for instance, in Photoshop, in C1 Pro, you can do ratings just like you can in Photoshop, in Lightroom. So we're going to look at the very first of these. If just select your very top frame to make it active. If you look along the bottom, you'll see 5 little dots. You can click on any one of those dots to give it a star rating. So for instance, I just clicked on the middle one. That gives it a 3-star rating. If you come all the way over and you click on the 5, it is a 5-star rating. You can use the number keys to do the same thing. So for instance, if you hit a 1, that gives it a 1-star rating. A 2 will change it to a 2-star rating. A 0 will get rid of all of the star ratings. So I need you to do a couple of ratings for me right now. So just give this guy a 5-star rating. Click the next one down, give it a 5-star rating. Click the next one down, give it a 3-star rating. And the next one down and give it a 2-star rating. Once we've done that, you can come over now and actually let's do one other thing too. On the very top one, on your 5-star guy, this little square that's sitting over here on the side, this is actually a color rating that you can also use. So if you click on that little drop-down guy, that little drop-down menu, we can actually add a red color rating to this guy as well. There's another place where those show up in the adjustment menu down here under color tag. You can also do it right down here. So for instance, if you were to select 10 of these images, you could assign that color tag rating to all 10, just doing it right here. Makes sense? All right, so, anyway, so I've got a couple 5-star ratings. I've got a red guy here. That's all I've actually got going on right now. So you can create these things called smart albums. So again, under your albums, click on the plus. Come down, instead of regular album, click on smart album, and a dialog will come open, and you can name this. And in this case, I'm going to actually do, since we've already got a 5-star smart album has already been built for us, I'm going to do 3-star album. So I'm just going to type in 3-star, and then we need to actually put criteria in here. So if you click on, you can actually come up, if you look at the presets right here, stars are already built into this guy. However, if you don't remember that part, you can simply add it. And again, you would click on the plus button, and in this drop-down menu, you would come down and you would say star ratings. So where's rating? Does anybody see rating in here? Down. Up. Up, thank you. Rating right here. Equals, and again, you can do this as equals to, is greater than or equal to, is less than, whatever. I'm just going to say equals, and then put in 3 stars, and then say OK. And you will have built a smart album right here called 3-star rating. If you click on that, you will see that it has already been populated, that there's a file that's already in here. Smart albums, simply look at your images, and any change that happens, it will automatically take those and bring them in. So again, if we look at our, so we've got only a single one in there because I only had one 3-star rating. If you look at the 5-star rating ones, I've actually got 2 of those in there because I had 2 of those 5-star ratings. If I go back up to my capture folder and I say I add another file down here with a 3-star rating, you will see that it is automatically put inside the 3-star rating thing here. I didn't have to do it. So what's happening with these smart albums is they are continually monitoring the capture folder. Anything that changes in here is then brought into the session album that is actually set up to watch it. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. So a lot of people use keyboard shortcuts to actually do this whole rating system. So we already looked at this and said in here that again, 0, if you click on a thing and you hit 0, it gets rid of your stars. 5 will give you 1 star. However, there's only a couple of keyboard shortcuts for color ratings. If you look at again up at the adjustment menu and you come down to color tag, you will see that there's only 3 of them that have a keyboard shortcut. The red has a -1, the yellow has a star, and the green has a plus. This is actually a carryover from C1 from Capture One 3. Back all the way in 3, there were only 3 possible color ones that you could do. And again, what they would do back then is they always would say, okay, red is the one that you want to delete, yellow is the one that you're on the fence about, and green is the one that you have actually picked. It's your positive one. So a lot of people prefer to actually use all of these, and they want to do them with keyboard shortcuts. So you can do that in Capture One. If you come over to the Capture One menu and you come down to Edit Keyboard Shortcuts, a dialog box will open up, and you will see in this dialog box that is opened up that all of these drop-down menus are indeed all the menus that sit right up here at the top. So you've got the Capture One menu is right here, the File menu is right here, the Edit menu. You can open up any of these things and you can actually assign keyboards, shortcuts to any of this stuff. You can change keyboard shortcuts. So for instance, doing the new session is just Command-N. You could actually click on that. You could then double-click over here. That's not going to let me change that. Oh, I can't change this because it's not going to let me change the default keyboard. So if you want to do custom keyboard shortcuts, first off, you need to actually hit duplicate. When you hit duplicate, you can enter a new name. So go ahead and do this for me, please, and just type in your name with keyboard. Shortcut. And say OK. Now, we talked about where all of this stuff gets saved. Again, if you do a whole series of keyboard shortcuts, custom ones, and you want to take it to another machine, where do you go? Let's go ahead and change our keyboard shortcuts first, and I'll show you where you go. It is. And where's application support? Exactly. And inside application support, what do you look for? We'll go. Yeah, we'll go in just a second, because then you can find this keyboard shortcut. So under the adjustment drop-down menu, because that's where the color tags are, under adjustments, under color tag, you will actually see that's where those keyboard shortcuts actually exist. What most people then will do is if you click on none and then come over to this space where the keyboard shortcut will be, you can actually double click on that and you would type in Shift 1. That's, or in this case, let's do, instead of that, let's do Shift 0 instead. And that'll be for none. For red then, you can do, again, double click on that space, do Shift 1. Or, what? What? So are you double clicking in this space over here where it should be? Shift 2 for orange, Shift 3 for yellow, Shift 4 for green, Shift 5 for blue, Shift 6 for pink, and Shift 7 for purple. Now, all of those were available to us. However, I want you to come back to your none one and double click on that. And we're going to actually change that. If you hit this little X in the circle, it will get rid of that for you. If you then type and hold down Command and put in 0, Command 0. And what you'll see down at the bottom is that Command 0 is already being used. It's already in use by 2/5. So it's telling us that we cannot use that. So if you come back up there and you say, okay, well, we can't use it, so I'm going to hit the delete key to get rid of it. What you have done is you've actually assigned the delete key to give the color tags of none. You didn't get rid of that command keyboard shortcut. You assigned the delete key to it. Does that make sense? That would be a mistake. If you want to get rid of something, again, you double click on it and hit the kill box, the little X box right there. And in this case, I'm going to put back in Shift 0 and then go ahead and say close to this. And now if you come over to your adjustment menu and you come down to color tag, you will see that these have all been assigned. Again, the first time you do this for a photographer, they're going to look at you and go, oh my God, that person knows Capture One better than any other person alive. That's the person I want in my studio. So again, if you come over here and then you hit Shift 7, that was actually the keyboard shortcut for purple. Shift 3 was for yellow. Shift 2 was for orange. Shift 1 is for red. It's the easiest of the ones to remember. Does this make sense? All right. Are there any questions about albums? Okay. In the library pane right now, you've also got filters. So do me a favor. Let's go through this and just randomly add, just keep going down through this, just randomly add some star ratings to this. So 3 stars, 4 stars, whatever. Add some color ratings to this guy as well. Just to give us some stuff to work with. And double some up. Throw some colors in on top of some of those guys as well. Okay. Should be good enough. In filters, if you come over into the, again, and we're now in the very first pane still, in the library pane, if you click down at the bottom for filters and a dialog box will open up, you will actually see inside this dialog box how you can actually filter what's really going on with your files. So if you, and how they've actually been rated. So again, you will see in here that there's a little number right here next to none. So 6 of my files, and your numbers will be different, 6 of mine have absolutely no rating, no star rating at all. One of them has got a 1-star rating. One of them has got a 2-star rating. One of them has got a 3. I have 2 3 stars, 2 4 stars, and 7 5 stars. So if you simply click on one of those, what it will actually do is it will bring up, I just clicked on my 5-star ratings. It will show you all your 5-star ratings right here. So there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 files, 7 files, and that's exactly what I've got right here, this number. If you click on the my 4-star ratings, I've only got 2 of those. I've only got 2 of my 2-star ratings. I've got 1 single 1-star rating, but this will actually give it to you right here. If you want to see multiple ratings, you have to hold down the Option key. So for instance, if I want to see my 4 and 5-star ratings, I hold down the Option key and then I click on that, and now I've got my 4 and 5-star ratings. If I click back out of that again to go back to a single one, I'm going to do my 5-star ratings, and I'm also going to click on a red. So let's say I want to see only the 5-star rating files that have been tagged in red as well. Well, I've got 8 files that are tagged in red, but that doesn't mean they're all 5-star. Again, if you click on that, it goes away. It shows you the 8 files that are tagged with red. Again, to see both 5-star rating and red, you hold down the Option key to select multiple issues right here. When I do that, I see that I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I've actually got 5 images in here that are both 5-star and are red in color. Does this make sense? There is a shortcut here for then creating a smart album out of this. So if you come to the very top, once you make your selection inside of here, if you come up here to this top layer, to the little 3 dots that are across from the filter up here, if you click on this, there will be a flyout menu, and I can take that back. Not that one, don't click on that guy. It's the 3 stars that are in the search dialog box right here. These little 3 dots right here that are highlighted in yellow. If you click on that, it will actually bring up a dialog box for you. This is now actually giving you the search criteria that you've already put in. It's actually any filter that you had active, it's actually put it in. And you can see in here, this is an active filter that's got a rating of 5 stars and a color tag of red. You can now say, I want you to create a smart album out of that. So again, you can click on this. It will say, what do you want to call your smart album? And I'm going to call it Red 5-star, and say save. And if you look at your session albums right now, again, these are how you sort things. You will now have an album in here, a smart album here, that will pick all of your files that are red and that have 5-star ratings to them. Does that make sense? So you say to yourself, well, okay, that's pretty good, but all I can really see here, okay, so I can see star ratings. I'm just looking down at my filters. I can see colors. I can see dates. I can see keywords, and I can see place. Can I do anything else in here? And the answer to that is yes, you can. So if you now come up to the top of the filter menu, those little 3 dots that are going across, not the ones that are inside the search box, but the one up above that's across from filters, and you click on this and you come down and you say show and hide filters, it will open up a dialog box that shows you every single possible thing that you could actually add to this filters pane. So for instance, let's say you wanted to be able to sort or do your filtering by the camera serial number. If you click on this, you will see that at the bottom down here or somewhere in here, camera serial number just got added. It's right here. And you can see that there's 5 files that have actually been, it's these 5 files that have been selected right here. You'll see I've probably got 2 different serial numbers in here because I just shot a picture with this camera and I've mixed it in with my other guys. But nonetheless, all of these things you can actually add to this. So a lot of people will add, for instance, ISOs. People will add, they'll do ISOs, focal lengths, all of these kind of things so that you can sort your files depending on what is information that's actually entered in there. Does this make sense? All right, so you can close that up, and now actually I do have 1 serial number in here. That's because I'm only looking at these 5 files right here. If I go back to my capture folder right here, I've still only got 1 because I'm not looking at all of my files. If I go down to my SKU 123, no, it was 789, this guy right here, the 789 one, I'm going to drag that into my current capture folder. And I get this thing that say, do you want to move it? And I'm going to say yes. Now when I go back and look at my capture folder and I come down to here, I've got 2 serial numbers of cameras. This one was the one that I just shot the picture with today. This is the camera that camera back that I was using when I shot the lingerie pictures. Does this make sense? Are there questions about this? So this becomes a really, really, really strong thing to actually build your smart albums with, to filter stuff, to actually sort through stuff, to look at stuff. There's another place that this also sorting can actually exist. So if you select on your capture folder to actually have your capture folder, if you come over here to the double-headed arrows, the up arrow and the down arrow, and you click on this, you'll get a drop down. This is how you would actually sort your thumbnails. So in your sorting in your thumbnails, you can actually pick rating. And you will see that I've got 5-star ratings at the top now. As I start to scroll down, I go to my 4-star ratings, and as I keep going down to my 3-star ratings and whatnot. You can do the reverse of that. You can, again, click on the double-headed arrow like this and click reverse. And in that case, you'll end up with your 5-star ratings will all be at the bottom. Again, reverse will take them right back to the top again. And anything else that you want to sort on. So for instance, you could sort by, we've actually got rating in here. You could click on color tag, and then it'll do the order for my color tags. It'll put all the reds together. So it's just a good way to actually sort your images. Are we good on this? All right. I'm going to go back up to name, which just puts these things in order. All right, there's a folder that we have not talked about in here, and it's this guy right here. Oh, before we get to this, I need everybody to go out to the Finder again. We're actually going to go look for that keyboard, the custom keyboard command thing that you just built, the keyboard shortcuts that you just built. Again, you go to your library folder, And in this case, it's not in preferences. That's strictly for how the program runs. In this case, to find all the custom stuff that you do in Capture One. And you can do a lot of custom stuff in Capture One. Oh, I've still actually got my preference folder open, and you can see what I mean by this as you, this is the Capture One stuff in here. You can see that there's a preference that keeps turning on and off right here in these Capture Ones. That's why you have to quit the program in order to throw this stuff away, because you might actually have a preference that you don't get pitched. So anyway, but in library under application support, you're coming down to look for Capture One. Inside of Capture One, you will see all the custom things that you can actually have. So for instance, in our case, there's a folder in here called Keyboard Shortcuts. Inside that keyboard shortcut should be the one that you just made. Inside of workspaces should be the workspace that you just made for today as well. All the other things that you could possibly want to use, for instance, styles and other things, whatever, are also stored here as well. So if you get your machine all tricked out to the way you want it and the way you love it, you can actually then just select this entire folder, copy it to a jump drive or to your hard drive, and then when you go to somebody else's machine, you can simply replace this folder. However, remember, if you replace this folder, it's all of your stuff that you're putting in there. So instead of throwing this folder away, I would simply drag this folder out to my desktop or make a copy of it. So that when you're finished on working on that machine, whatever, then you can take the original set of application support files and put it back so that it's not yours. Does that make sense? All right, that gets us through this part pretty good, guys. We're getting there. Why don't we do a quick 10-minute break and come back, and we'll keep banging this out. So again, all I can say to you at this point is I know that it's like, okay, Verser, this is so fucking dry. And all I can say to you is, do you want a guaranteed $100,000 income in any major city in the world? Because if you can command this program, that's an option for you. That should be an incentive to slug through this.